All right, the Soul Stream has begun. Mortal Kombat Online and the Realm Kast live show, bringing you everything Mortal Kombat related, from news to guests, contests, whatever we got going on today. I'm your host, the Mortal Kombat FANTiM, and with me as always is my co-host, our lore master Yani. Welcome, Yani.
Thank you, FANTiM. And for now, it's just the two of us, but we will be introducing our special guest, returning friend Jeremy Adams, very soon. But for now, we'll start off with just the two of us and head through the news. What do you
That's
think?
right. So,
Hey, everybody.
yeah, don't go anywhere. We got a lot planned for today, as Yani mentioned, including Jeremy Adams, who will be joining us soon. So, let's jump into this, Yanni. First of all, a couple things to mention before the show kind of kicks off and we start talking about news. We are running a contest right now. If you're interested in getting some G Fuel with a Raiden Shaker, and this is the Electric Strike Raiden G Fuel, we are giving this away. All you have to do to get it is share your favorite episode of the share your favorite episode of the Realm Kast, and be sure to tag us. So if you're sharing it on Twitter, use the at Realm Kast. If you're sharing it on Facebook, just tag Mortal Kombat Meme Realm, and we will be gathering everybody who shares an episode, and we'll be giving this out to somebody.
Same
and
thing
we'll
on Instagram, by the way. But if you're going to tag the Meme Realm, make sure you're tagging me in the actual post itself within the photo or something. Because if you're just mentioning it in a comment, it won't show up. And that's happened a few times already.
Yeah, and then what we'll do is we'll take everybody who has shared, and we will randomly choose somebody, probably maybe on the next Soul Stream, and send this out to you with some Realm Kast stuff also. So good luck. Let's get some swag. Yanni, you hate that word, don't you?
Yeah, I do. It reminds me back in, like, what was it? When did that word come about? 2010 or something? And everybody's like, I got swag. It's like,
It might be earlier, 2000s. I don't know.
yeah. I'm actually, we've already got a question from Mike, but we'll save that for when Jeremy Adams gets on the show. That will be soon. I think that should be very soon. We just want to get through the news first, I think. But to everybody who's on, I see swag shit we all get. I love it.
Oh, that is what it was, wasn't it? I don't know.
Was that actually it?
I think so. It was an acronym, I think. And also, just in case you haven't heard the news, we do have a shop now. You can get some Realm Kast merchandise, like this cool mug we have. We also have t-shirts and other things. So if you're interested in any of the stuff we got, please come support the channel. Anything we make off of it goes to kind of keeping this running and making sure that we give you guys the best content possible with what we have going on with Soul Stream and the Realm Kast. So yeah, check it out.
It's been great seeing the response to the Soul Stream. Actually, it's something that everybody's been asking for, and I've been quite excited for the second episode to go live since our first one.
Yeah, this is gonna be a good episode
good to have the store now as well with it. It's even better. There's some cool stuff on there, honestly. So check it out. Let us know what you guys think. If there's anything that you would like to see more of, let us know as well.
So Yanni, what are we talking about today? Besides, of course, things. Jeremy coming on in a few minutes.
Well, yeah, we've got Jeremy coming on soon. We're going to be discussing. Thanks, Monk. We're going to be discussing Snowblind, obviously, with Jeremy Adams. I take it everybody who will be joining has seen it and has questions. Sonic Ha, welcome. I see you there, and I know you have questions. You've got your list you mentioned. But aside from Snowblind, we will be discussing the. I don't know if I want to call it this, the 30th Mortal Kombat anniversary celebration. So, the videos, the AMAs, the interviews, etc. We've also got the Mortal Kombat mobile update, which we probably should address, because I do feel it's kind of important to the future of Mortal Kombat in a certain sense. And movie news, as well as news from both Ed Boon and John Tobias. And I love when I'm able to say that it's not just Ed Boon, it's also John Tobias in the news.
For a 30th anniversary, like we've talked in private about how little we've gotten, but there have been a lot of interviews and like, different topics come out from Ed and John. And it's kind of relevant to everything. Mortal Kombat 30th anniversary is not what we wanted, but it's still kind of exciting, that they're breaking that silence. That I mean, they haven't really talked much in the last 10 years. So
Well, if you think about it, we do technically have a celebration package, I suppose. And I'm not talking about that steelbook that nobody really cares about, as far as I can tell. I'm talking about Snowblind. Snowblind itself basically released for the anniversary, in my opinion, and I'm very happy with that. I think that that was a great way of going about it. Although, of course, as Mortal Kombat fans, we all wanted a new game and everything, but at the same time, as you just said, FANTiM, we have had a lot of communication from Ed Boon, and that's very different from what we're used to seeing.
mhm.
And I mean, we normally get this kind of communication right around when a new game has been announced or is about to be announced. And regardless of whether or not we're actually going to get that, I mean, we've seen that that's not the case so far, at least. It's still good to have that communication. That's what we as Mortal Kombat fans have really been begging for over the past few years.
Yeah, and it's there. So, what should we talk about that first, or do you want to talk about the Steelbook collectible that everybody is really wanting?
I mean, we sort of addressed it last time anyway, I think.
Yeah, but they did put
Steelbook.
out a new video, and they included the acrylic thing. I don't know if you saw that.
I'm not sure. Show me or show
Yeah,
us.
let me show you guys what we're expecting right now. Which for those who are Mortal Kombat collectors, this is could be pretty interesting to you. Let's see. So Future Pack and Nova Box is presenting their new stuff, and they released this little video clip kind of showcasing what you'll be getting. So you have this acrylic movie holder or game holder. I don't know. I guess you can put whatever you want on it. You can put little toys or tokens. And they did a full breakdown of this PVC thingy. And this is the acrylic stuff that you're getting from them right now. So as far as we know, and we mentioned this last time, this is the only 30th anniversary merchandise that's coming out. And there's the steel book and the coin that we've kind of mentioned before.
Oh, that's
So
cool. I didn't know it could go inside like that. That's pretty cool.
yeah, I mean it's a nice setup. It's a steel book. If you collect steel books, like I got all the Mortal Kombat Legends ones, but this is going to be available, and we have prices for it too. Let me show you guys that also for anybody who is interested in this. I don't know. Is there anybody like watching right now that really wants to know more about this? Because
I mean, it looks all right. Like, I don't fault people for wanting it. And what, 29 euros for that? Seriously?
let me see. I don't know if that includes everything. I guess so. 36 euros for various characters.
And the
20.
steelbook?
Yeah, it comes with all that.
Hell yeah,
You
I'm
get
grabbing one.
PS4 game,
That's not bad.
and there's only 100 of each character. I think is how they're doing it. So, yeah, if you're interested, keep an eye out for it. I know Amazon is now sending it out and or advertising on Amazon the UK. So that is available for purchase or pre-order.
I'm a bit confused by that though. I mean, is it a US celebration? If so, why is it in euros? And if that's the case, I wonder what the price is with shipping as well. But I love what Mike said, a 29 euro paperweight.
Yeah. And then let's see, we got another comment here from Mike McDeanet, ouch, and shipping from GB. So
Yeah,
I
exactly.
haven't seen it sold in America yet. So yeah, you're probably gonna have to pay if you want it over here.
I mean, in Europe, 29 euros, that's actually not bad for a sort of celebration edition. But at this point in time as well, that's technically like half the price of the game. And
Mm-hmm.
it's scary that I'm saying that. I remember when games were 30 euros. But it's still cool. I like the steelbook. I like collecting the steelbooks as well, and I like the blue logo instead of the gold as well. That would be pretty cool because I know that for the collector's edition of Mortal Kombat 11, you got the gold steelbook, if I remember correctly.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's what it was. I mean, it's been so long now.
Speaking of
See,
Europe, I remember when MK Conquest first came out, and I could only find it in Europe. Had to convert it to DVD form. Wow, man, that's yeah, blast from the past.
all right. So what else do we got, Yanni?
We've got well, I kind of want to touch on this because it is pretty interesting. Do you remember back when MK21 came out on HBO Max, and everybody was saying like, "Oh, it's great! Like it's got all the viewers and everything." And I don't think that that's changed at all. But I remember that a lot of other statistics were coming out at the time, and we were kind of confused as to how those numbers fit in that way.
Yeah, we talked about it a little bit back then on our
Hmm.
bite-sized episodes. Well, why do you bring that up?
Well, apparently, um, it looks like HBO's numbers have been, well, misleading. They've been giving fake numbers, as far as I understood, and that has led to a lawsuit.
Yep. So for people who are kind of following all this drama, Discovery Channel and Warner Brothers were merged to become Warner Brothers Discovery, and yeah, the shareholders were kind of misled on these HBO Max numbers. The article specifically talks about subscriber numbers, but uh, who's to say it didn't affect everything else? I mean, for streaming platforms, Mortal Kombat and Godzilla versus King Kong, like all these movies were huge during the pandemic as a streaming media. So yeah, this news is out there. I don't know if it's going to affect anything Mortal Kombat related, but it is a very interesting read. So we'll probably leave links to these articles in our show notes. If you're interested, you can visit them at mortalkombatonline.com or check us out on our YouTube channels and things like that. We'll kind of leave references so you guys can jump in and see what's going on.
And see it for yourself, because we may not have presented it the way that it actually is to the accurate down to the line detail. So just in case, have a look through it, see for yourself what you think. I know I'm sort of rubber banding between topics right now, but Ala Mohammed has just said something interesting. Speaking of collections, NRS still did not announce the 2021 movie alongside MK11 Ultimate Bundle. I thought that was officially announced.
Yeah, I thought it was part of that future pack, but maybe I'm mistaken.
No, because the future pack
It's just the game, it looks like. Yeah.
is the game as well as the acrylic stuff, whereas this other pack that we talked about last time was actually Mortal Kombat 11 Steelbook, and then the movie, or was it the movie Steelbook? I'm not sure anymore.
Yeah, I don't know. I'll have to look that up, or maybe check out our last full stream episode where we went into that one in details because I don't remember off the top of my head now. Um, let's see. Mike is saying that it's a Amazon exclusive release, so I think he's talking about that dual collection that you're referencing.
Possibly that could be. That would make sense actually. And yes,
Yeah.
Merry Christmas, Brian. So we have also got some interesting movie concept art that's recently come out, and that's pretty cool considering the whole. Well, we're not sure if it's announcement or or not announcement yet regarding the movie, but there's been some concept art regarding Sub-Zero, Kano, and Reptile. Have you seen that?
I have. Let me pull that up so we can share this because this is interesting. I think this was originally part of the Kevin Tachirian version of Mortal Kombat,
Mhm.
which we've gone into much detail with Brand, Mr. Midnight Owl, on this, and uh, it's cool.
It's
So
pretty interesting, yeah.
yeah, so let's see. Long John Silver on Reddit shared this, and it deserves a lot more posts, but or upvotes and stuff like that. But this is original concept art from the canceled Mortal Kombat movie.
Well, let's
Um,
let's do the artist some well, give him some credit. Let's use the link I just sent you actually instead, because
okay.
this is from the artist himself on his art station.
Oh yeah, let me pull that
Gerard
up.
Marantz, I think.
All right, so
While FANTiM gets that going, let's look at the comments. Smoke, I like the Steelbook movie game combo. Problem is, nearly all of us already have both the game and the movie. Exactly. That's one of the things that we've been saying. It's such a pointless sort of celebratory pack if everybody already has everything to it. This is more so just for collectors, isn't it?
Yeah, and I think that's what they're trying to capitalize on is anybody who collects. That's why there's only 100 of these available, those Steelbook collections. So, yeah, it's strictly for collectors. And the thing is, I feel like you could find the same sort of thing on fan selling sites like Etsy and things like that. But you know, the Steelbook's cool. I think that's the only thing worth it if you're a Mortal Kombat collector.
Agreed.
But yeah,
Sub-Zero is looking boss here.
Yeah, and yeah, this is a very different take on Sub-Zero.
It looks like it was sort of in the middle of the cyberization process.
Yeah, it could be. What I think my most interested picture from all this is the Kano versus Reptile fight, because as we mentioned about with the Mortal Kombat 2021 movie, is that what it was, or 2020? The live action movie, a lot of the stuff in there was kind of leftover from the earlier scripts. And here we see Kano and Reptile duking it out. And I think some of that was left over from, I mean, this is concept from what it could have been like in the original script. So,
yeah,
and
it's
then
pretty interesting to see. And then this reptile image is pretty cool. It's a very different take on the reptile from Rebirth, if you remember that.
yeah. And I like.
Am I thinking Reptile or am I thinking? Oh no, Baraka and Reptile were both in the Rebirth trailer, weren't they?
Yeah, they were. And let me go ahead and cut this short because we got Jeremy Adams joining to answer some questions, and we'll jump right back. Yeah, we'll jump right back into the Mortal Kombat news here in a second, so you guys can see everything else that we have going on. But let's go ahead and welcome Jeremy Adams.
Hey!
Hey!
Hey, Jeremy, how you doing?
Is that an exciting enough entrance scream? I was on my way back here from a parent-teacher thing, bombing down the roads of Los Angeles. Get out of the way! I gotta go to Realm Kast.
Yeah, really. Jeremy, thanks for joining us. Like, we're super excited to talk about everything that you've been up to, which, I mean, there's been some huge news this week, which we haven't even mentioned yet on our show. So we're excited to bring that up.
Great. Yeah, no, I mean, news that was sprung on me. Oh, thank you. Yeah, I don't know if you saw any of the footage from New York Comic Con, but I had just gotten through explaining to people that the margin between us being able to do more of these is really quite slim. And you know, there's a huge contingent of people that pirate this stuff, and I'm like, but you got to buy it because that's the only way we get to do these again. And I had just finished this like passionate, heartfelt plea, knowing that we had done a Johnny Cage movie, but also like we want to do more. And then Rick, the producer, was like, well, actually, and I was like, wow, that just meant nothing. I just said, and he's like, announcing the new Johnny Cage movie,
That's awesome. I didn't see the actual video of it. So you didn't know going in that they were going to be
in the crowd of thousands. I'm like, there you go again. Because that's, if you didn't know, in the audio commentary tracks for the movies, Rick thinks it's really funny not to show me the completed movie until we do the audio.
Yeah. You mentioned this last time with us. Yes, I remember this.
So he's constantly doing that to me. And I'm like, if you do that with Johnny Cage, I will commit a fatality on you. Like, I can't, I really want to, be focused on giving the listener really interesting tidbits behind the scenes of the movie. I can't be reacting to somebody's brain matter exploding into somebody else's face,
Jeremy, and just so our fans are aware, Jeremy's video is a little bit laggy. There's been a couple comments about that.
Yeah,
but
I'm sorry.
It's okay. We're
just glad to have you.
I feel good.
Yeah,
I like the background, by the way.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
I have a big old green screen I got at the beginning of COVID because I thought, well, this might be here a while.
So let's talk about Snowblind first of all. So if anybody wants to drop some questions in the chat, please feel free to. You can do so on realmcast.com, our YouTube channel, our Twitch channel, Facebook, Mortal Kombat Meme Realm, wherever you'd like. Just go ahead and connect with us and start leaving your questions, and we'll kind of go through it, and we'll ask some of our own to kind of kick things off. Yanni, would you like to go ahead?
Yeah, cool. So, firstly, congratulations. It's been quite a success with the community as we can tell. Everybody has. I don't think I've seen a single negative comment actually regarding Snowblind, and
Oh,
that's
Yeah.
kind of huge. Oh, you have, of course, you have.
I have, yes. Yes. No, I'm glad. I mean, listen, I think it's a weird thing because obviously with Scorpion's Revenge, I think it started out really strong, and we had to change some things in that script, but it still came out, I think, really well. And then the second one, I think I told you this last time, we ended up cutting 40 pages from the script. And so,
Yeah.
there was a huge contingent of it. So I think it felt rushed to us. And I know there was a lot of negativity on it. And I was like, that's not totally what that movie was. But to have another bite at the apple and be like, no, we want to do something else and try to make a story that kind of pays attention to some other characters and just, we just think it was a good story, and it also, if you've seen it, and I'm sure we're going to be talking spoilers to a degree, there's some twists and turns that kind of folded into kind of video game continuity in a way. And yeah, so I'm glad people like it, is what I'm getting at.
I loved it. It's probably, I mean, I liked Scorpion's Revenge. We talked about it. The few things I didn't like about it, but with Snowblind, you had creative, the ability to be more creative with it, and that's it made it more fun, and it made it like not having to stick to the lore because of what you did. It made it more enjoyable to me in a way. And this is me and Yanni, we love the lore, so this phrase or me saying this means a lot to throw that out there.
Oh, good. I'm glad.
So we've got some questions coming in already. Although I think it might be fair
how delayed
yes.
am I still, by the way? I'm like, maybe I should try to lower the video resolution, or
your video's delayed, but your audio's good.
Your audio's good, yeah.
What if I do this and I do this? Let's see what happens. I'm playing with your functions. I've never. All right, let's see. No, I'm still delayed.
Slightly better, but
okay. All right. If I stay still and I just make one facial expression, and it will always look.
Everybody's gonna think this is all actually pre-recorded, and we're just very good at matching up with your.
Yeah,
the script is perfect.
I hate it too. I'm like, this is driving me crazy. I want to be in real time. Okay.
It's good because your scream at the beginning like caught me completely off guard. I knew you were joining, but I was like, "Where is he?" Oh.
All right, let's get to these questions. Yeah.
All right. So let's see. Mike says, when writing the legend stories, do you have a listing of characters you like to appear in the film, and then some that you push for as cameos? In all three, there have been almost non-speaking Mortal Kombat cameos. Nitara in Scorpion's Revenge, Li Mei in Battles of Realm, and Daru / let me see.
Daru and Quan Chi? I think he means
Drummond in this one. Just wondering if those are his calls or who makes the decisions.
Sometimes my calls, and sometimes it is put in there like Nitara, like that was a storyboard move. I think that was one of the storyboard guys put it in, or it was Rick or Ethan. I'm not entirely sure. So sometimes we'll put them in, and sometimes the guys that take the script will put them in. It depends also on how much fodder they need, like death they need in the background. It's much better to put in a character that is somewhat known than just nebulous, faceless guy number 3, right? Mm-hmm. And so it depends. It's a back and forth. I mean, animation is extremely collaborative, and so we have kind of conversations about it. There are characters I push for, like Aaron Black. I knew was going to be in this particular one because I think his character you know, absolutely calls for it in kind of a spaghetti Western aspect of post-apocalyptic whatever. And that was really important. But the minute we started focusing on, King Kano, the Kano cut scene, is really where we started throwing in, that kind of became the framework for the story we're going to tell. It was the cutscene of Kano winning and, being able to manipulate the world into whatever he wants. And we're like, oh, this is amazing. Chronica and all that stuff lends itself to this kind of weird world building multiverse of Mortal Kombat. And that's just one of the things, like I see this question of, can we give Kung Lao some respect in the future? I mean, it's one of those things where when you play the game, you don't think about it, but you're killing these main characters depending on who you play. And so making a movie that reflects the violent nature of the game, you have to kill people doing it, right? I'll tell you, I did pitch the Great Kung Lao. I wanted to do a story about the Great Kung Lao that I thought would be really, really cool.
That'd be awesome.
I made a list of about 6 or 7. Let me just tell you the story of us. The story is, we did Scorpion's Revenge and Battle of the Realm, and we really thought that was it. That was all we're going to do. It was successful enough that we get this call. I get this call from like the president of Warner Brothers Animation. They're like, "Hey, this did really well for us. We'd love to be able to do a couple more, but we want them to be totally different. We want them to be not in the same vein as the other 2, like to be direct sequels right away." And so I said, okay, great. Here, I'm gonna give you a list of like six ideas. And one of them was this, was Snowblind. And one of them was the Johnny Cage. The Johnny Cage was funny because, this is the first time I've told this story out loud. There was an executive that said, we can't do this one. And I said, it was the one I really wanted to do. And I said, oh, yeah. Well, let's just keep it on the list. And then I just went back and I made that thing glow. So that I sent it up the ladder. Everybody's like, well, let's do that one. And I was like, yeah, we are. And so I feel like Johnny Cage is going to be great. Joel McHale is an incredible Johnny Cage. And all I can tell you about it is that I don't know if anybody will like it, but I love it. It's absolutely bananas. And I think what we tried to do with this movie is try to open up the idea that there can be multiple versions of the story, even within the main continuity, because I already know in a lot of ways how I would fold these back into main Mortal Kombat continuity in a way.
Okay.
And in my mind, I like understand what that is. And the great thing is in the games, they've done similar things as well. Whether it's casting back from the future to the past, all that stuff. I know that there's ways to do it. So.
Well, I mean, we're sort of jumping straight to the end in a way of Snowblind, but I mean, we've seen that you know exactly how to bring it back in already. So I'm very curious to see how you managed to do so with the Johnny Cage movie. I mean,
well, the Johnny Cage movie, I think we should all be prepared for something that's just peculiar.
Are you able to give us a sort of basic premise to it, or is this all you can say?
Not at all. I would be killed. All I know is that I love it so much that it's one of those things that even if everybody hates it, I don't care because I love it so much.
Well, I'm not concerned personally because I have seen firsthand now with 3 movies, and yes, okay, Battle of the Realms last 19 minutes, as we said, was rushed, but that's because of what was cut. I've seen 3 movies worth now of your writing, and I can tell that you have that passion, not just from watching, but also talking to you and how you talk about it. I'm not concerned. If anything, I'm very excited. So that's pretty awesome.
Okay.
Has it been announced when it's supposed to be releasing, or is that still off the...
No, it hasn't been announced, and honestly, they keep me in the dark so much that I wouldn't know. I mean, I have a general idea, but I can't say. I will tell you that I wrote.
Yanni's working hard today to get some.
No, I'm careful. I don't want to get him in trouble.
Last time you guys were digging, and I was seriously just like, well, giving a little too much. I will tell you that I wrote this script quite a while ago, so I don't know what that means, but there you go.
Cool.
All right. Well, how about we jump into a question that is not trying to dig into you? Let's go with Smoke's question. Smoke 412. What was your favorite part about working on Snowblind? Also, was there any character that you were particularly excited about that was in the film?
My favorite part was we're all good with spoilers, right?
Yeah, this is a spoiler-full conversation, everybody. Okay. I think we can assume that.
So,
yeah, we warned you to watch Snowblind before you jumped on this episode. Great. So
we warned you to buy it so that we can get more.
Yeah, I think was that in the writing the kunai in the background, and then having the moment where Sub-Zero summoned Scorpion for me was super cool, because that's so far into the movie. I think people, hopefully were surprised, like, holy crap, that just happened. And there's much more in us talking about what that meant in terms of backstory, is this kind of this promise that Sub-Zero made, or made Scorpion make, that's basically like, if I use my powers again, I'm gonna end up totally derailing and get out of control, and your job is basically to take me. It's to take me. And he says, like, have you done it? And he's like, not yet, because he knows what's about to come, and he knows it's going to be like, there's no coming back from it. And I love that kind of shared history between the two, and the unspoken history between the two there. And so that was my favorite. That was my favorite part. And I just say that in terms of like all the character work and other stuff that happens in the movie, I really, really love. But there's something about that moment that I was like, this is badass. And I originally wrote it. I wanted him to light the whole place on fire, and I wanted it to be like this flame dragon in the shape of Mortal Kombat and dragon. And then Rick was like, no, we're not doing the crow. We're not doing the crow.
Flicking a cigarette and
I was like, okay. But other than that, I love Kenshi. One of the reasons we wanted to fold Kenshi is the character design is so strong. The trope of like the blind swordsman is such a cool thing. And then when you read his biography, you're like, this is really weird, with the Shang Tsung pretending to be Song, all that stuff. And well, the crow is awesome. I agree, Eddie. That's why I mentioned it. Anyways, so once we figured out that it was going to be like, there was a couple things. We knew that we wanted to do kind of like the older Sub-Zero, because we felt like we didn't get to concentrate on Sub-Zero as much in the first two, obviously. And we knew that was going to be the case. And then as I was, digging in and saw the cutscene for Kano, it was like, oh, this is going to be great, because you don't think of Kano as the big bad. You think Shang Tsung's the big bad. And so then when we knew Kenshi would fit this world, and we did Kenshi's origin, it all started kind of like seamlessly being put together. It's this weird moment in writing where you're just like, I'm taking things that exist already, but now we're putting it into one story. And a lot of that stuff was already created from NetherRealm. The origin of Kenshi and his sword and Shang Tsung tricking him, and the stuff with Kano, making the world the way it is. And we just kind of fleshed out like more character driven moments of that. And then I wrote a ton of violence, and then they illustrated the violence and made it even more violent than what I had put down. So it all works together.
Well, jumping back to what you mentioned about Scorpion, I would like to take this moment to address the fact that you totally got me. Because if you remember on our last episode together, I straight up said, I don't know how you managed to get a movie without Scorpion in it. And you held you kept that poker face. You did it so well.
Yes.
The moment that Kenji sensed that that dagger or kunai really on the wall, I was like, he didn't. He didn't.
That was such a cool moment, man. I was like, yes, bring him back.
Scorpion
And then
when
he just starts, you know, it's like, you know, Kenshi's getting, you know, crucified, and then the cold air comes out of the mouth, and you're just like, yes, you know what's coming, you know.
Oh yeah, so, Kenshi even lost his fingers like Yakuza style, and I was like, what? How are we coming back from this?
Yeah, I know.
But then
honestly, that's a weird thing for me. I don't know if you ever read the Dark Tower series by Stephen King, one of my favorite series ever. And Roland the gunslinger loses some fingers, and I was just so like, ugh, lost his fingers. You just feel so like, oh, how? I hate that, you know. Man, he's got to tell you. He's good.
All right, who else do we got here, Yanni?
We've got Allah Muhammad at 1:23:14 on you know the timestamps here. Jeremy, first off, thanks for this movie. It was really great. My first question was, this movie a sequel for Battle of the Realms, and how did you connect the events with screenshots from MK11 on the Hourglass?
It is a sequel, but only in an abstract way. Like the idea that here's the real rub of it. Wait, I'm trying to think. If I say this now, does this come back to haunt me in the future? You know, the real question is this a sequel, or is this the original movie, and Scorpion's Revenge is a sequel? You know, that's the real question. The real question is, where is this take place? And when you're talking about Chronica and stuff, it's like, well, you know, it could come before those things, potentially, in some ways. I that's the best way I could say it. How do I connect the events with the screenshots? Very carefully, I guess. You know, I mean, that's the hard thing with Mortal Kombat, I think. As somebody that was very familiar with the first couple games, but as the games went on, the mythology got bigger and denser. And, you know, even in the second Battle of the Realms, I think I got too aggressive trying to explore, you know, one god and the Kamidabu and all that stuff that like no one knows unless you're playing the games really closely. It's hard because, you know, there's a great deal of fans, and you're trying to make people that love it respect what you're doing, but you also don't want to go so far afield that they feel alienated from it. And it's super hard. I mean, I'm a nerd. I get angry at everything. I get angry. It's funny. It's like I see some people mad because they're like, oh, they made this character a different race or whatever. It's like, I get mad when they have different hair color. You know, it's like, I get mad. You know, it's so stupid, but like that's who we are. We love what we love, and it's like, no, he's not a natural redhead. You know, and you're like, this is trash. You know, that's how I am, anyways.
How did you feel personally about the redesigns of characters like Cobra and Kira?
I mean, I knew that they had to be redesigned in a certain way just because we were dealing with kind of this weird post-apocalyptic stuff. I wasn't that concerned with it because I can barely trust myself, showing that the character designers and the artists are going to be 1,000% better, and they're going to go, "Hey, this looks good." I'll be like, "Yeah, I guess it does." You know, like what do I know, honestly? You know, I'm more concerned about where they fit within the ring, and again, they're going to change just because we're dealing with this post-apocalyptic reimagining of Kano, you know, he's put together, and we don't know how many times together. You know, he's Groundhog Day this thing. So,
going back to Allah's question, somebody also asked us on Twitter, and I don't know if this is something you can answer or not, but does this take place before or after Mortal Kombat 11 in your headcanon, at least?
You're going to have to refresh me in a second. Mortal Kombat 11 is where the cutscene's from, right?
Yeah, and you know, it ended with Liu Kang taking control of the hourglass.
Right.
Exact same time in a way.
Yeah,
I'm
that's
trying
kind
to
of what I was
remember.
curious to.
Yeah. I'm trying to remember because when and I saw the cutscene is that if Kano got a hold of it, that was MK11 though, right?
Yeah, it was,
Yeah.
and that was one of his
Right,
the endings. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. I mean, so technically, I guess it takes place after, but you can't hold it to me because really, we're dealing now with Mortal Kombat. We are dealing with some sort of multiversal
Yeah.
situation as it is, So they need to have like a
Right.
crisis on Mortal Kombat Earth, is what I'm saying. So we can just consolidate to a one world scenario.
Yeah, we need to sort it all out in some convoluted way. Okay, so next question comes from Sonic XD. Hey, Mr. Adams, the art style in the movie is really different from the previous two.
Yeah.
What's the reason for that?
That was a request. There was a request from higher up that they wanted it to be different in design and story. They just wanted it to be not more of the same. And the rationale was that they just wanted to give the fans a little taste of something different within the context of combat, but it was also very specific to so that we can hopefully revisit it all again in a way. Now, Rick, I think in his mind, he was always very much like, no, these are all part of the same universe, but the higher ups want what the higher ups want, and our job is to try to execute it, but also make it still relatable to the other two movies because it's still branded Mortal Kombat Legends. So in our eyes, it's like it's still part in some way. But and if you're a logic weirdo like me, you're thinking, well, that's because the universe was created in a different fashion than the other universe, or the other universe was in a different fashion after that universe.
So let's see. We got a lot of questions that are kind of getting
I'm
answered.
trying to pick one actually.
Yeah.
Go ahead. Yeah, we'll just knock them out. I see Dark Raiden. I can't speak to anything because honestly, after Johnny Cage, I'm being serious. I haven't been approached or anything like that. My hope is that these become ridiculously big blockbusters, and I can do these every year for the next 40 years. Plenty of ideas, and NetherRealm has left us with 1,000 stories that have yet to be told.
Well,
But it sounds like people really Dark Raiden. So,
oh yeah,
everybody seems to love
Raiden.
that is for sure. I'm very curious though, because of the sort of direction that they took with Dark Raiden in the games, and the fact that, I like your writing, and you're obviously very keen on continuing to write for Mortal Kombat Legends. Now, this is sort of a two-pronged question here, because I saw this question come up earlier. I'm not sure who asked it, sorry. But one is, would you... Actually, I've totally forgotten it while I was saying that. Okay, let's go with the original question, which is, would you ever consider writing for the games if approached in that sense? Or would you prefer to stick with Mortal Kombat Legends? And the second question I just remembered before I forget is, would you consider making this a series or sticking with it as a movie?
There's this country song that says, "If you've got the money, honey, I got the time." That's pretty much, I'm a freelance writer, and right now I'm writing the Flash comic book and writing some animated stuff. And if somebody came and said, "Hey, do you want to write some Mortal Kombat video games?" Are you kidding me? Of course I would. It would be such an honor because I haven't really done video games. So I did a little bit of video game stuff, but not really. And the idea that, and I have a lot of ideas, so I could contribute in that way. It would be a unique challenge. I would love to do something like that. But I also recognize that those guys, they probably have their own crew and stuff, and they do great work. But yes, I would absolutely love it. As far as the video game, same answer. You got the money, I got the time. Like, if they said, "Hey, we want to do a Mortal Kombat series," I'd be like, "That's an excellent idea. Here's 5 seasons." Like, I would be all in on writing innumerable amounts because, A, it would be fun, and you would be able to explore much more of the universe. I don't know if people would be satisfied with the series, though. I think that's an area where people might get annoyed how you try to serialize Mortal Kombat and maybe the changes you would have to do in a way. I don't know. I would do it. I mean, don't get me wrong. I would do it. I would take the punishment. I would take the hate, but I would do it. I would love to be able to do it if I could start at like, I can't say that either. Never mind. But I would do it.
So, all right. Well, there's a question here from Eddie Hurta saying, was anyone else hoping that Kenshi would fight Ermac in this movie? And that actually does relate back to a conversation we had on the last episode with you. So we were considering the idea that Ermac would appear, considering his whole origin story, but you managed to give us a very, very sort of true to canon Kenshi origin story, just missing Ermac in a way.
Right.
So what was the idea behind leaving Ermac out here?
I think it's just the context of the world. I don't think he fits necessarily in this post-apocalyptic world in the way that we wanted him to. For Kenshi, I think that we had, what is it, 79 minutes? I mean, it's such a small amount of time, and so in my head, I'm dealing with 3 character stories. I'm dealing with Kenshi's story in terms of his origin, but the betrayal of Shang Tsung in that moment, and what that story is actually about is ego versus humility, and then taking that humility and standing up for people, right? And it coincides with Old Man Sub-Zero's story, which is this, the other story that I'm servicing, and then there's Kano's story. So adding more story on top of that becomes then this is the problem. This is the problem I got into with Battle of the Realms. I'm like, here's 12 stories I'm going to cram into 79 minutes, and none of that works out well. So at least we learned the lesson, right? like honestly, I think the script on Battle of the Realms, I think it ended up being like 120 pages, like ridiculously over what it should have been. And I think on this one we ended up like 85 pages. So
these various stories that you're talking about, as you're kind of mentioning them, I'm reliving them in my head, and I gotta say that Shang Tsung storyline was so brutal and just kind of hit me right here because like Shang Tsung finally reemerges in his glory, and then you had bored God Kano just kind of get excited about it and just it was great.
I know for me as a writer, and a lot of my work reflects this, whether it's Supernatural crossing over with Scooby-Doo, or on The Flash I made an issue where you have to like turn it upside down and like do this quirky stuff. It's like I really want to do stuff that's kind of surprising, and I knew Shang Tsung was going to power, but we wanted to convince the audience, like, of course he is. He's Shang Tsung. That's what's going to happen. And at that point in the movie, you don't know that Kano is as strong as he is. And there's no reason for it. Like this is not Kano. Kano is not strong. So when Kano kills him, you're like, as an audience member, going, "What the hell is going on?" Like that's what you want to feel. Like, what is happening? And so when we reveal what's happening, especially for the hardcore fans that know what the hourglass is and stuff, it's like, oh shoot, it's like, oh, this okay, this makes sense. So
that kind of ties me to the next question here. With Kenshi, you told Kenshi's story. I mean, that is his story from beginning to end, and the lore focused fans really appreciated that. We got a question here from Katana Fan Realm. It says, shout out to your version of Kenshi's character arc being close to his canon, accurate one, but within new circumstances, did you consult anybody from NRS this time, or did you write the script on your own?
No, we always, Dominic Netherrealm and Ed Boone would send drafts of notes and everything to them, and they would give us like a heads up or whatever. Luckily, I had done a lot of my homework, and by this point, they've really shown a lot of faith in me and Rick, and they've been very, very kind, and they would say, hey, maybe this characterization is a little off, or maybe this, but they've been incredibly helpful and incredibly supportive, because I think at the end of the day, I think what they recognize is that we value their opinion. We want to honor what they've done. And I think that's the hard part with adaptation sometimes. It's like sometimes there's people like I'm not even gonna pay attention to what was done before. And that's not our attitude going into it. We may succeed sometimes, we may not succeed sometimes, but that's our attitude is always like we've got to respect what this is. And it's a bit of a challenge. Yeah, they consulted with us the whole way through. So it was a really great mutual relationship.
Cool. Yanni, you want to grab the next one?
Yeah, I did just want to say before moving to the next question, or rather comment, I very much liked how you sort of did that where you kind of messed with us with Shang Tsung actually getting his power, sort of reverting back to the previous conversation you were having. But I was watching Shang Tsung like going crazy. I laughed when Cobra took the blast to the chest. I was like, yes, 3D. But I really appreciated how you sort of surprised us, because I remember watching Shang trying to take Kano's soul, and then him saying, "Oh, what was it? I sold my soul a long time ago or something." And I was like, in my head, I'm like, "That's not how it works." And then later, you show us that he's fully cyberized, and I remembered that Sector, Cyrax pretty much lost their souls, Smoke too, without Sub-Zero's help getting it back. And I was like, he did his homework. He really knows, you know. So that's just me saying.
I mean, it's hard, dude. I mean, there's so many balls to juggle with that. It's really, really hard.
That's me saying you did it. That's me saying thank you. Like you're so far, like everything I've seen, you're really trying to get everything in there. And I know, again, we keep bringing this up. Battle of the Realms. Lots of people were unhappy because of the cut content. You tried to tell a story that many people do want to see. Yes, it had a lot in it, and I appreciate the fact that it got cut and you have a certain runtime to deal with. But I fully believe that if you had the full runtime as per the script that you had written, everybody would be saying that Battle of the Realms might have been the best of the movies, just because I know you went through the exact sort of topics that people wanted to see.
I hope so. I mean, like I said, it was also like we thought we had two movies, and it was like we wanted to take some of the bigger elements of Mortal Kombat and kind of explore them quickly, and that was hard because there's a lot of big elements, like the one being like I said, the comedy, all that stuff is so crazy because it really is one. Each of those are like one story, and then we threw them all in one, which is nuts, and that's the same thing. Like I would love to explore, kind of the fall of Edenia. I would love to explore there's so many other aspects of Mortal Kombat. The only hard part, the real hard part is, like you said, every character is somebody's favorite character. And the reality is that when you're dealing with Mortal Kombat, people got to die, So it's like you got to figure out who you're going to die, and that sucks because it's like a lot of time, a lot of people. Bore Cho, I had him in a version. We were going to do these short Mortal Kombat things that led up to Scorpion's Revenge, when originally that was one of the characters that was going to be in there, and we had stuff like that we were adding. So.
What happened to those shorts?
Money. It ended up being like they were like, we're just going to do the feature, and we're not going to do the small. And they were awesome. I'm not going to lie. They were written by some incredible writers that I know. Too incredible. Like I read those and I was like, what am I doing? But they were really cool. And we had like little vignettes that leading up to. One of them was, we were going to really expound a little further Sonya and her journey into Mortal Kombat at that time. And there was just some neat stuff. So.
All right. Well, there's a pretty cool question here from SB. Mortal Kombat media usually tends to focus on mortals, and the characters like Raiden or Shinnok usually take the back seat. Would you ever be interested in writing a story focused on the MK gods?
Oh yeah, that would be cool. when I grew up, there was all these cool things like there was always like Greek mythology movies. You know, there's Hercules with Lou Ferrigno or something, but there were always these kind of like the pantheon gods and different things like that. I think it'd be really interesting. And you're right. I haven't seen. I like stuff like that. But the thing is, legally, I'm not supposed to take ideas, so we'll never get to see it because you suggested it now. Just kidding. Yeah, it's a great idea. Really cool.
I was gonna go into another question. I'm like, oh, mentioning Shang Tsung's kung fu prowess could, if I ask that question, could throw off our next movie. So I'm not gonna do that one.
Well, I mean, listen, Johnny's set in stone, but I really like Shang Tsung. I think there was a Shang Tsung story that I pitched, and they didn't pick, only because I think the other, like the Snowblind and Johnny Cage, which is bananas, kind of stuck out to them.
All right, here's a good one we got. So Mr. 47 says Sub-Zero is considered the person who has the most relationships with most of the characters. Why did he choose Kenshi in particular to form a duet with Sub-Zero? I think he's asking, why did you choose Kenshi?
Because they both have great singing voices, and a duet is honestly there were multiple factors. It was the factor of Kenshi's origin story fit within the context of the environment that we were telling the old Sub-Zero story and the Kano story. And then it really fit into the idea of not revealing exactly what's going on to the audience. And we wanted to have Shang Tsung and that twist in there. And it's like, well, if it's Kano, how do we throw people off the scent? And how is it that you don't immediately think Shang Tsung's the biggest threat? And as we started thinking about that, and as I was doing, at this point, I've absorbed a lot of Mortal Kombat, and so much Mortal Kombat that I'm not sure where it's from within the continuity of the games. So there's a certain element of like, oh, we knew we wanted to do Kenshi because we knew Kenshi would fit within kind of a post-apocalyptic environment with the sword and all that stuff, and the Shang Tsung element. And I don't really remember if it was the chicken or the egg. I just remember that the Shang Tsung part of it was like, this is going to be a great twist, in so much that we all think that Shang Tsung's going to kill, Kano, and then it was like, oh no, we're going to on its head. And that's when everybody's, what is happening? And that, like I said, as somebody watching the audience, I love that. So it just fit within the context is really the answer to the question, I guess.
Continuing on with Sub-Zero, there's a very, very good question here from Sonic High XD. I like this one. Kwai Liang said, I thought the worst thing that I could become was my brother. Could you elaborate on that, since we've never really seen Bihan in this series properly?
Yeah, I mean, there's again, that was like me like taking in so much of Mortal Kombat continuity and just how dark the brother could get. And it was kind of like, I don't want to become that thing. And part of it is when you're writing, it's sort of like even with the Scorpion thing, I want to hint at a history that we haven't seen. I don't necessarily want to spell it out. I want people that are really knowledgeable of the characters to go, oh, this character came back from the dead and was possessed, like all that stuff that happened, and fill in some of that stuff. Some of it's best left unsaid because you want to draw your own conclusions. It would have been so boring if I explained the deal between Scorpion and Sub-Zero in ad nauseum, and this is what happened. And I honestly think that would have been boring. It's much more epic to be like, did you do it? I got to take you. It's like, no, not yet. We're going to go nuke these people, and then you can take me to hell, or whatever. So I don't know. It's one of those things. Sub-Zero is such a huge character in its different iterations, and it's smart. I mean, because the video game is like, we got to bring this awesome character back over and over again, So we got to make this character do this and this character. And it's I don't know. It's one of those things you could explore that for multiple movies,
Was the idea of including Chronica's Hourglass in the movie, was that well received by a lot of the fans, or was it something that only the
I don't
Mortal
know.
Kombat 11?
That's not something that I haven't necessarily heard people hating it. I have heard people saying like, "Oh snap, that makes sense now." Like that was kind of like the MacGuffin that made them go, "Oh, now I kind of understand how this could have happened." But
yeah,
but I haven't. Mostly, it's been like, "Oh, this is cool," "Oh, this is better," or whatever. So that's gratifying.
Yeah, definitely. I imagine so. As somebody who like you had a lot of backlash from different aspects of the other movies, but now, like we mentioned earlier, you got more freedom because of the Hourglass. So that's cool to hear.
Right, and I'm going to squander it all in Johnny Cage. So
It's what you've been waiting for, anyways. We all know that.
Exactly.
So,
and then boom. At least I think you'll laugh. That's all which is weird to say about a Mortal Kombat movie. Yeah, you'll have a great time.
We got a question from Corn Combat. He says, will Mortal Kombat Cage Match be in the art style of the first two Legend films, or be like Snowblind?
I don't know if I can say this because it'll be animated. I think if it's in Legends format, I think you can intuit that it will be similar in some ways.
All right.
I see your katana thing. I think I just misspoke in that particular interview. And gosh darn it, if you misspeak in regards to continuity, that thing will haunt you till the end of time.
Yanni silent judged you the whole time.
I mean, it's one of those things. It's like when you read The Fall of Edenia and I'm trying to remember where I'd read like pieces of it, because I feel like there is two different continuities for Katana in a way, and I could be mistaken, but I remember like there was one that she was like brainwashed, but there was another one where she wasn't and she was just fooled. And I can't remember exactly where I went, but I got to tell you, I hit half a dozen Wikipedia, Mortal Kombat sites trying to figure out the exact right thing. But I probably just misspoke in the interview. And then, of course, then I get all the katana hate in the world. And I'm just like, I don't know what to tell you guys. Like, I swear to you, if we did a katana movie, it wouldn't have a mistake like that. So, but I mean, I don't know. People were angry because it's like, oh, she's leading this. And there was still more to their, Liu Kang and her love story. And, there was all sorts of stuff. But whatever.
And that's a good
comment
one. Came in from Katana fan realm. Just so you definitely have a Katana expert on here.
Yeah. And honestly, it would be one of those things, especially if we were telling the story a certain way. I would be doing an even deeper dive. It's hard. I mean, like, again, not only I'm not an expert, I'm trying my best, and then I have different levels of people that are kind of checking me. So Liu Kang will die a virgin. that I need that, because I don't get it right all the time. And hopefully, my hope is this is that I would get a little grace in some of those things.
I'm seeing a couple of very good questions from Smoke 412. You're on fire with these, but one of them here is regarding Tremor. I wanted to tell Jeremy, thanks for giving my boy Tremor the justice he deserves. With that said, my heart broke to see Ramen got tossed around like a rag doll. But it's a great one because Trevor needs more attention. He was amazing.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and that was just a cool thing because it was like, it's kind of a action movie trope. It's like we wanted to take this guy, take Kenshi, who was so full of ego, and finally, like, what do you do when you're like, I've spent my life becoming this great martial artist, and somebody comes in with powers? It just like ruins your day. It's like if you've ever seen those martial art videos, there's tons of them where you would have those kung fu guys that like they would have disciples that would like swing at them, and they would just stand there, and they would like fall backwards, like they didn't even touch the guy, and they had like fooled themselves into thinking, yeah, this guy could really psychically knock these people backwards, and then suddenly that guy's in a room with an MMA guy, and the MMA guy just like clocks him over the face, and then you just realize everything you believed is wrong, you know. And I think that was kind of the humility that he needed to have. And so when I wrote Tremor, it was much different though. When I saw him, the way that they designed him and stuff was kind of spooky. It was really cool.
But in the end, they went with an MKX look for him.
Yeah,
so did you see something?
And like I said, the storyboard guys and the designers and stuff, they do their homework too, you know.
There's a good question here from Mike. Sorry, Yanni, unless you want to go ahead.
I just want to say, speaking of designs, Scorpion, and I think it was Allah Muhammad who said this, he looked very Spawn-like, I think. It was a very interesting look for, well, both Sub-Zero and Scorpion at the end. They looked very different from what we would normally expect of them. Did you have any say in that? Or...
No, I don't think I did, but I really appreciate that they did, because it felt almost like, it felt kind of more mature in a way. It was like,
yeah,
you know, as you get older, it's like a little more armor, a little more pomp and circumstance. They almost seem like kings in a way, like, you know, a little more regal ninjas. You know, it's like, oh no, these are like old. You know what it's like? It's like Dark Knight Returns, like that type of Batman, where you're like, yeah, it's Batman, but boy, he's scary. He's chunky. He's like ready to throw down. You know. I thought it was cool. Them coming out of the fire. Somebody did that on Twitter. They're like, what was your favorite scene? I'm like, I think that was my favorite scene. Like, you know, they're walking out of the fire. Like, oh, that's cool. I wish they would do that. We talked about that in Scorpion's Revenge. I think Rick was trying to push NetherRealm. Like, dude, these animated would be great skins to be able to either buy, or wouldn't it be cool if you could get the DVD and you could scan it for a animated, like Mortal Kombat Legends skin would be really cool.
That would be so good.
Yeah, really.
FANTiM, you had a question?
Yeah. So Mike, who's it? Mike McDenet says, Jeremy, who is your Mortal Kombat guru? I think you've answered this on the Realm Kast, but for all of our new listeners that are on today, so who's the one on the staff with the most Mortal Kombat knowledge, or do you take that title? If so, do you consult with someone else?
It was most, although I consulted with Dominic over at NetherRealm, and he was the guy that, and you guys know Dominic, right? Like, he was the guy that, I can't say his last name. It's
Cianciolo?
Yeah. Thank you. I was going to butcher that, man. I'm so glad you told me. I was like,
Dominic hears this, right?
So guy that we would like run things through, but no one else knew anything. Like Rick knew some stuff, but he also kicked my butt at Mortal Kombat and New York Comic Con. It's so depressing. Anyways, one of the reasons I got the job is because I talk about martial arts all the time, and people are sick of it. But they were like, "Hey, we're doing Mortal Kombat. I guess Jeremy has to be the guy." And so I'm the one who had to kind of really dive into the mythology and stuff. Rick really knows a lot too, so we both were kind of working off each other, but I had to do the most research when it comes to mythology and all that stuff. Yeah, Mike,
I'm very curious.
Really, like you wrote it out correctly, but pronouncing it is a totally different animal.
I'm very curious now, because you mentioned that he kicked your butt at Comic-Con. Who did you play? Who did he play? I'm very curious to hear about your mains.
We kept switching it. At one point, I was doing Raiden, because I thought I remembered how to do the lightning blast, and I was like, oh no, I remember knowing that back in the day, because I was like, oh, this is just like Ryu's, you know, fireball or whatever. and I was like, oh, maybe I remember that, because I hadn't played Mortal Kombat 1 or 2, you know, for ages. And Rick, that son of a gun, like, he started remembering Sub-Zero's his main, and so he suddenly was like straight up like freezing my legs. Yeah, as somebody said, the rage. Like, they're trying to interview us, and we're both hyper competitive, so we're just like, I don't care about your questions. Like, I gotta beat this guy. So we were playing. I mean, we ran all of them, but I was mostly playing Raiden, and then I did Johnny Cage and Liu Kang mostly, and he was doing Sub-Zero, mostly doing Sub-Zero, and doing that stupid like low reverse sweep. I was like, you son of a gun. Like, you know, once you're caught into that tornado, there's nothing you can do. How old was I when I first played MK? When did it come out? When's the first one come out? 92. 92? I was young. I don't want to give away my age. I'm old. But I was at the arcade and I remember thinking, like, I can't believe I don't think I should be playing this. I think I'm gonna get in trouble. I mean, it was so funny because Street Fighter came out around the same time. Everybody was playing Street Fighter. And then one day, it was like, all by myself. It was like Street Fighter just sitting there gathering dust. And we're all just like gathered around Mortal Kombat, like, F that game. Nobody's head gets cut off. You know, it was so crazy.
I got a question here from Sonica. There were many characters in the Black Dragon. What was it like picking who to use, and why not why non-Black Dragon characters like Ferrotor, Darman, and Dairu?
When we knew it was Kano and we wanted to have the Black Dragon element of it, it was just like, can we use them all? Like every Black Dragon I could find, and especially ones that hadn't been used before. We kind of wanted to do, because we knew we were going to kill like how many people, you know? and that's the second question. It's like, and then what other characters can we kill? You know, I mean, there's just that element of you've got to find people to murder, you know, and like, who can you use without people being too upset that they're dead, but might be excited to see them, because you're not going to be able to, you know, there's a lot of characters in Mortal Kombat, but they're still finite, you know.
Yeah, but I mean,
we're running out of people that have, if you think about it, if you think about the entire cast of Mortal Kombat, we've killed a huge percentage of them. And looking forward, we're like, man, there's still a few that we need to kill. We have other movies. Who are we kill in this one?
I mean, you've even killed Kano, and now he's your main bad guy. So it works
twice, I guess. Like you know.
There's that you confirming that he died in the first movie now, because I remember you saying, eh.
I'm also like, but was that the first movie? You know, I'm still, you know.
I'm just curious. Everybody keeps mentioning Dairu. I remember Jarek. Am I misremembering?
I remember Jarek. I don't remember the other one off the top of my head. I remember Dairu. But that might have been something that storyboard guys threw in when I wasn't looking. Possibly.
I remember Kenshi dropping in down from the roof, Kano sending Jarek at him and just getting literally one shot, like sliced in half.
Dairu had 2 seconds.
Remembering that if that's the case.
I mean, I could see those guys doing it. Yeah, I have a headcanon that Kano didn't die. I mean, listen, the fact is that he's like Elon Musk. He's probably uploaded his consciousness somewhere offsite, you know? Sort of like what's happening to X-Men. If he dies, it just reloads into another body.
Let's see. Eddie Herda says, is there any Red Dragon members we can create for future faction members?
I mean, I guess it depends on if we get another movie involving those people. So I don't know really what to tell you there.
I'm so curious where we're going to go with this next movie now.
Whatever you think it is, it's absolutely not that. And not only that, it is so ridiculous that we were allowed to do it. I'm still convinced they're going to stop us. That's all I can tell you.
I imagine it's going to be an hour and a half of Johnny Cage getting hit in the balls, and that's.
I will tell you that, like, Joel McHale is so funny, and he's so committed. I said this about it in the first time. He will like, I'll put a line in my script or whatever, and he will sit there and go, "Oh, really? Is that the line?" You know, and he'll kind of call me on the simplicity of it. And be like, I've heard that a million times. Why don't we change it? Just like, well, I appreciate it. You kind of, I've just thrown that in there. And he's like, no, we need to We need to do a little more.
All right, another good question from
So about
Smoke412.
That's a tough one. That's a tough one. You could, I mean, I could absolutely. The only thing, what would be great about using a minor character in a movie is that you wouldn't be burdened by the weight of continuity necessarily, depending on what you did. If you used a minor character, especially when it had fleshed out, then you have the opportunity to kind of flesh it out and kind of make it bigger and put your stamp on it. There might be.
You know, that kind of brings me back around to this previous question from RW Chai Town. How do you feel about the new Age of Heroes / Combat Kids?
How do I feel about it? I like any sort of progression, but I think of it in terms of, I think those characters would succeed in telling a story. How do I put this? I like in terms of like the Terminator of it. Like kind of the conceptually, but I still, for me, it's great. I get it. You're progressing the universe and stuff, but like for me, I still feel there's so much to tell with the traditional slate of characters.
There was I remember when the Snowblind was first announced, we had people kind of asking us if we thought Takeda was going to make it into the movie, and we're like, I mean, Kenshi seems a bit young to have a child that is a full-blown warrior with tentacles right now, so I don't think so.
Right. Yeah, no. I mean, who knows? He's kind of the way that Sub-Zero leaves it is like you're now the champion of Earthrealm in a way. Like you're kind of the
right.
Who's to say? I mean, I don't know. This is where my brain starts going. I'm like, who's to say what happens to Kenshi? What if you did something crazy where Kenshi? I mean, I'm going to say that. No, I'm not going to say it. But if I said it in a way that, like, what if Kenshi is actually, in actuality, another character in some way? You know, like it's not. Yeah. He's not. I'm just saying, like that would be an interesting twist of fate or something that you can mess with. Unfortunately, I don't think you could pull that off without people trying to kill you.
I mean, what if Kenshi is Kenshi's ancestor? You know,
right. What if Kung Lao is really the great Kung Lao? Like there's weird things like that. Like what if weird things like that, which is kind of fun to think about.
I mean, it's a multiverse.
What if Cole Young is
what if Cole Young is doing?
I will not comment with
it. Oh, Mike McKenna, thank you very much. I remember now. Thank you. Totally slipped my mind.
Oh yeah, Mike sent us a picture.
Oh, cool.
There was something that you just mentioned, and it clicked a question in my mind. Now I'm totally blank on it. This keeps happening.
You get it.
So
yeah, that's kind of how that's how I feel. Scorpion.
The question was: is it safe to assume that Scorpion is the ruler of another realm? And somebody else also wanted to thank you for giving Scorpion the immortal treatment, which hasn't really been done in other Mortal Kombat medium.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's hard to think about a Mortal Kombat movie without him, but I obviously from the first couple movies, I really like his character and where he went and all that stuff.
Okay. So I've got the question back. It's regarding Tremor. Now, very happy to see him return, and he was definitely the boss that I expected Tremor to be. But you did take a slightly different approach than what we saw of him in Mortal Kombat X. Now, he clearly was a similar character, but had less of... I don't know. In Mortal Kombat X, he felt a bit wiser to me, whereas in Snowblind, he seemed a bit more brutal. Was there a conscious decision to make him that way?
No, I think, but you're dealing with something that's not one character-wise, you know, especially because of if it's Kano's world that he's created, then it would make sense that it would be more brutal. So by virtue of that, that character would have to be more brutal. Does that make sense? So
Mhm.
wisdom
makes sense.
isn't, wisdom and stuff isn't valued in that world as it is. That's one of the reasons that Sub-Zero sticks out. That's one of the reasons that, it's really about kind of like standing up for what's right, even if it means you're going to die. That's the big arc of it. So if that character is wise in any capacity, he's going along to get along, because I think what they all intrinsically know, the Black Dragon in this particular verse, it's the Shang Tsung of it, especially after the Shang Tsung of it. It's like, you can't beat Kano. That's what they think. So they just want to stay alive. That's what she said. Come on.
I find it super interesting that you have this freedom now to work on a multiversal story within Mortal Kombat, especially with what you've done with the Flash,
Right.
kind of reintroducing, the Flash that was lost during the New 52 and making him this, like time jumper, kind of going into these different areas, like kind of
Right.
being able to have that freedom. And now you're doing that with Mortal Kombat 2. Uh, do you feel like that was kind of you bringing your work from DC Comics into Mortal Kombat, or was this just something that kind of happened by happenstance?
I think that's one of the unique things about DC Comics and Mortal Kombat universe. I think that's why they combined games, either like the games with Injustice or whatever. It's like they both have worlds that are so multifaceted.
Mhm.
And I think I'm probably unconsciously drawn to the fact that that's the case. I think as a storyteller, you want to be able to get the opportunity to tell a lot of very different stories. And so, I don't know. I don't think it was conscious for sure. I mean, like in the Flash thing, the quantum leap of it was like, all of this stuff is just stuff in the zeitgeist. Obviously, the multiversal stuff has almost been done to death, and but I don't care, because I get to tell different stories in Mortal Kombat. So,
Could we? I mean, I'm going to ask it anyway. So we had the sort of Revenant kind of invasion, which was clearly caused as a result of sort of Kano's tampering with time. I
right.
suppose is the best way of putting it. Is there a specific cause that you had in mind for this Revenant invasion within that universe, within this
No,
specific
not in
story?
particular. We had just pulled on those threads from the game, and there was actually a scene that we had to cut in this, where Sub-Zero was kind of holed up in his house while Revenants were like moving around it, and then they ended up attacking Kenshi and Shang Tsung out in the desert plains. But we had to cut it out. It was
Interesting.
more of saying that did exist in the periphery of this world that was happening. But we just kind of took those little threads in order to kind of illustrate the story of Sub-Zero getting, way out of control.
Yeah, because I did find it interesting that the basic premise of this is that it's a post-apocalyptic world caused as a result of not having the freedom because of these revenants. But then we barely saw the revenants, and it makes sense now that you said that there was a bit of content. Was there any other cut content?
Not that I can think of, because I think that was the lesson we learned, to make it a little thinner,
Hmm.
and a
Less.
little more simple,
All right. Corn Combat. Corn Combat. Firstly, I have to say I love Corn, so that's great. And I mean the band, everybody, not the. I like Corn on the cob too. But how was working with Ed Boon, and will he be involved on all future MK Legend films in the future?
we were. He's been incredibly supportive from Scorpion's Revenge to now, and I've had limited interaction, because obviously the guy's super busy, but he's always been really kind and supportive and giving us kind of the direction he would like to see it go, and him and Dominic both. So we're really fortunate. All you can really ask for in a situation is that listen, co-creator Mortal Kombat likes what you're doing and is very, very pumped for it to happen, and at least knows that, hey, we're trying to respect what it is that you're doing, and that's the best.
Yeah, it's a good stamp of approval to get, especially when you're making a Mortal Kombat movie.
Yeah, totally.
Mike McDenet says, saw the storyboard scene of Sub-Zero running up the stairs after Kano and his crew. Can you give us more background on this scene?
I'm assuming he's talking about near the end.
I'm not sure.
but I mean, that's within the context of the movie. There's just, it's funny. They added so much more to the hourglass room, and that was such a hidden feature in the room, and him going after it, after those guys, or after Sub-Zero going after Kano and that stuff. It was such a peculiar reveal it was in the deleted scenes. Was it? Oh, I mean, it was probably because Rick wanted to really beef up the action scene at the end. So he probably just truncated the running after him a little bit.
Mm-hmm. Using the hourglass the way you did, you managed to make your own stage fatality out of that scene.
And that was totally Rick and those guys, because I remember going over Rick's house and he goes, "You want to see something?" And then he started showing me. I'm like, "Oh my gosh!" And you knew it, because the minute you enter that, and it's like you see him turning, and you're like, "Oh, this is going to end badly." You just know it's blood everywhere. That was great.
It reminded me which stage was it from Mortal Kombat 9? There was a stage where, I don't know, it just had a similar vibe to it, because yes, obviously it was Kronika's hourglass from the game Mortal Kombat 11, but the way it looked in the movie was very similar to a stage in Mortal Kombat 9, and I cannot remember which. But that scene itself was really cool, because I remember Sub-Zero losing his arm and then making an ice arm, and I was like, how has nobody done this yet?
Right. That was super cool. I love that. It was so violent, man.
Sonic Ha XD says, the action feels a bit different from the previous two films. Was it related to the art style? And did Ethan still choreograph the fight scenes?
I don't know if Ethan choreographed the fight. I don't think he did. I think he was busy on. I'm not sure, because Rick was the director and producer on this particular film. I'm sure he had some involvement. I tend to overwrite the action scenes, and then whether the storyboard guys take them or not take them is up to them. I always like to see that some choreography makes it back in, but they're really good about doing it as well. And Rick is really intentional about trying to get them to push the violence and the creative violence, as it were, because that's such a huge part of the franchise,
Mm-hmm.
Got a double water question here. Firstly, Eddie Herta, he reminded me of when Aquaman had that water fist. Was that an inspiration?
Totally. No, listen, the Peter David Aquaman series is I love Peter David, but I'm sure that had to be part of it.
All right. And second water question is one that is very dear to me, and I'm pretty sure I've already asked this to you in the past. Love the animated movies. I would love to see Rain come in and kick some.
I know. I hear you. Got to buy more DVDs.
Okay.
Maybe he'll show up.
All right.
I need to have a separate MK suggestion box somewhere,
You need to have Yanni come on and voice Rain for you, because at this point he's begged you enough for it.
I know. Please.
I would legit voice Rain for free. I'm telling you now, Warner Bros. You listening? For one movie, for free. Then we can talk.
So, Jeremy, I know you got to go soon. Is there anything else that you'd like to mention? Any cage match news you'd like to release? Anything else you would like to tell us before we let you go?
I mean, the cage match stuff, guys, I'm just, I can't even talk about it without getting a huge grin and just thinking, I just can't believe it. It's completely bananas, and it's going to be really different in some ways, but I'm really excited for people to see it. I have Super Sons coming out next week, which I'm excited about. And,
yes.
And then, Mortal Kombat, Cage Max cage match at some point in the future. And then I have, the Flash comic book. I have intergalactic super wrestlers showing up in my Flash comic book next week, which is really exciting. So I'm excited about all
that. So yeah, if you haven't seen Snowblind for some reason and you're watching this, make sure you go and buy it. Give as much support to these movies as possible, because we want more Mortal Kombat Legends and more Mortal Kombat content. And yeah, check Jeremy out on the Flash right now, as well as Super Sons, which is coming out. You said it was next week, is it?
Yeah, next week. It's really good. It's totally, listen,
I can't wait.
Totally different. So, don't go in looking for people's heads to explode. I mean, there might be a few, but still.
No more eyeballs popping out.
Yeah, exactly.
Before you get off, Jeremy, we've talked about this in the past, about how obviously the Mortal Kombat community can be a bit harsh at times, and you expect that with gaming. But I want you to see these comments from everybody saying thank you, and that they love what you're doing. I really hope you see that, because we are really happy with what you've done, and we really look forward to more from you. So thank you for doing our characters and the series justice.
Oh, thank you. And thank you guys for letting me come on and talk about it,
So if you're interested in following Jeremy in his career, check him out, Space Kicker, at Space Kicker on Twitter and Instagram. But you said Instagram's mostly your personal stuff, I think, on our last episode. So definitely look him up on Twitter, follow him along, and buy his stuff. Let's get Jeremy to keep coming back and doing more Mortal Kombat stuff. Jeremy, thank you so much. We're going to jump back over to Mortal Kombat news for all of our listeners. And it's been a pleasure having you on, as always.
Thank you, guys. Until cage match, I will talk to you then.
Nice.
Looking forward to it.
Later, guys. Bye. Bye, everyone.
Bye, Jeremy.
All right.
So
he's always someone talking. He really is.
I know.
Such a good.
And for those of our listeners who this is their first time kind of interacting with him, be sure to check out our previous episodes of the Realm Kast, where we have sat down and done full interviews with him, kind of going through his career from the beginning, everything he's doing with Mortal Kombat, and he goes into details in the previous movies like Battle of the Realms and Scorpion's Revenge. So you kind of get an idea of how he's thinking and what he's doing there. They're good. They're fun episodes, I think. All right. So Yanni, where were we?
I think we had just finished off with. Actually, you know what? Before we do that, what did you all think? I mean, I see all the amazings. That was great. Thank you, guys. We're happy to see that. What did you think of his answers to your questions? Do you get the vibe that he knows what he's doing? Because I personally think so, for sure. Like, are you excited to see more from him? What did you think of his answers to your questions in particular? I think we tried to get to everybody who asked a question. Sonic, I see you saying that.
I think the only questions that we tried not to show were any that, could have impacted the next movie, because there's some good ideas out there. And I didn't want anybody saying, oh, I really wish they would have had this character, and now he's not going to be there because I asked the question on the Soul stream. So, we try to avoid a couple of those, but for the most part, we try to get every question on there. So thank you, everybody who submitted questions. And for those who didn't, be sure every week that we do the Soul stream, you can jump on to Realm Kast, Twitch, Facebook, Instagram, let's see, where else? Twitter, and I'm missing one. YouTube.
Soul stream?
Yep, for Soul stream. So come and join us, leave your comments, interact with us. We'll talk to you guys as we're going through everything that's going on for the month.
And we generally try to bring in a guest related to whatever is ongoing at that point in time in the Mortal Kombat community. We felt that Jeremy would be the perfect guest for this point in time. Well, I hope you all agree, and judging by the questions we got, it seems like you do.
At this point, Yanni, do you want to go ahead and announce our next Realm Kast guest for everybody that's on here? And it's exciting. I'm excited.
Yeah, why not? Let's do that as a little... Thank you if you're sticking around still, hopefully. I'm announcing this at the end of this episode, but might as well now. So our next episode of the Realm Kast will air, I think it was October 27th, FANTiM?
Yes. Yep, 2 Thursdays from now, so October 27th.
27th, and it's a Halloween-themed guest. So very happy to announce Alec Gillis, who, along with his team, was behind the creation of, the motion of, and the effects of This is pretty cool. Goro from Mortal Kombat 1995.
Yes.
As well as Alien, Predator from for example, not the first Alien, but onwards, the special effects, everything, even the recent Prey. So we are super to bring this to you because this is a really cool episode. It's really interesting how we talk about sort of the special effects, the ideas behind everything, how they went around about creating it all. It's super cool, seriously.
Some interesting stuff. I'm so excited for this one, and I was super excited to get him on the show. So he goes into some good details. A lot of Mortal Kombat stuff that doesn't really get talked about much with the Goro design because it was revolutionary in a lot of ways, and I'm excited to share that with you.
We get some really cool info on the last animatronic in movie history. I don't know if it's the last, was it? But a very, very integral part of animatronics in film history. It's really cool hearing about how they went about it, how it was created. And we really do get some information that I personally have never seen anywhere online and never heard from anybody. So check that out. It's going to be a really cool episode. We did not dress up for Halloween. I apologize. FANTiM was strictly against it, but it's pretty fun.
All right. So should we go back to Mortal Kombat news? I think we're talking about the 30th anniversary. I will say, I don't know if you noticed, I am wearing this really cool shirt that was given to me by Jasper, who is the Mortal Kombat collector. Mortal Kombat's 30th anniversary with all the people on it. It is. So I know he had quite a few people help him make the shirt. What was that?
He's sending one to me.
But he will. So he made it for the original cast had a convention that they went to, hosted by Maze Collectors. It was ITC. What was the full name of it? Level Up ITC Con.
Yeah, that was it.
Yeah. So so shout out to them and shout out to Jasper and thank you for the shirt. We appreciate it. Yanni doesn't get one because he doesn't deserve one, but I appreciate it.
I'm just seeing when is our next Soul Stream? 10th, isn't it? 10th of November?
Let me see. Let me just double check real quick. I think it is the 10th. That's right. So yeah, next Soul Stream will end.
We have a Realm Kast, then a Soul Stream, then a Realm Kast, then a Soul Stream.
Mm-hmm. Yep. So we'll keep doing them, and we'll have another guest next time. So we're not going to announce who that is yet. You'll have to wait and see. It'll be a surprise.
You may have or have been exposed to COVID, according to Mike.
That's great. Thanks for sharing that, Mike. I may or may not have COVID right now.
Oh, great. So let's jump back into it anyway. There was a bit of news regarding the new game from WB. I think it's not from NRS specifically, as far as we knew. We just knew there was a new WB game, and people were going to go and test it out. And later on, we found out that would be Gotham Knights, which is releasing next week, which looks pretty cool. But it's not Mortal Kombat, is it? So that's not a Mortal Kombat specific announcement, yes. But I'm very interested in the fact that Ed is very vocal, and we touched on this at the beginning of the episode. He is very vocal now. He's communicating a lot, and he's specifically telling us for the 30th anniversary, we were not going to announce a game, etc., etc. But we have a lot of interviews from Ed lately. One even came out yesterday. We had the interview with Polygon. We had the interview with XPlay. We've had a couple of others, which I'm totally forgetting about now. But when he talks about upcoming Mortal Kombat stuff, he has made it clear, even on Twitter. I think you have the screenshot, FANTiM, of him saying that we have multiple pots on the stove or something.
Yeah. Let me pull up a couple of them because it leads you to wonder exactly what is going on. So there's been at least 3 different tweets here that he's kind of brought up. And so here's one of them. From our old friend Rattlehead from the Realm Kast. Are y'all working on multiple projects or just one? No MK questions since you are bombarded by them. and he does confirm multiple. And then let's see, there's another couple more I got here. I have one here from Anthony. He says, "How's the new game coming along? Can't wait to see what you guys have in store this time." Good, but we've got more than one pot on the stove. And lastly, I got one more here, which is another one from Anthony. I think maybe it's the same one here. How's the new game coming along? Can't wait to see what you guys have in store this time. Yeah, good, but we got more than one pot on the stove. And whatever you're cooking up, make me a plate, please, from Stacy. So, so yeah, there's a lot, more than one project. What do you guys think about that? Are you excited for that news, or does it make you a little bit nervous about what we're gonna get next? What do you think?
There was another interview, one of the ones that I didn't mention, an interview with Brian Tong, and he specifically asks about this tweet. And when he asks about it, he says, you've got more pots cooking on the stove or something like that, he says. And Ed replies saying something along the lines of, they're not cooking, they're on the stove. Something like that. And he makes it very clear that they always have multiple projects ongoing. Mm-hmm. Even when they finish a game, they're already sort of thinking of the ideas for the next game, etc., etc. So they are always working. And I'm pretty sure that's him saying in a way like, don't expect something super soon, or a lot of stuff super soon. Just know that we are working on all these things. But those interviews, specifically the Polygon one, everything he says really points towards him saying, we have a game, it's in the process of being made. And I don't know, just the fact that he's talking so much more is really interesting to me. It makes me wonder if something is almost done, or if it's just the fact that he's now able to talk more, which is something that I also find.
30 years ago, Mortal Kombat.
Let me interrupt you. Is this the interview you were talking about?
That is with XPlay, is it?
Yeah.
That's a separate one. I'm talking about the one with Polygon. Okay. Polygon is a text interview, as far as I've seen. I've read the article at least. And in that, he talks about being more involved in a more official capacity, which is the part that I find so interesting. If you just Control F and you search capacity, that should bring... there it is. You able to make that full screen?
Yeah. Here, let me pull it up here. So, yeah, I see what you mean, though. It says...
Or just read it out. There you go. Sure. So, you're chief creative on MK now. How much control do you have over Mortal Kombat right now? Like, how much of that is built into your job, your contract? And Ed replies saying, obviously, WB owns the IP, but I'm actually more involved now. I'm involved with the animated series and the next movie that's coming out. So it's very exciting. And we've seen this, by the way. We just witnessed it firsthand. Jeremy specifically told us that he's working with Ed, and Ed is showing that he's very interested, and he's given him the stamp of approval, etc. But we've also seen it in tweets between Todd and Ed as well.
Yeah.
I didn't see much of that with the first Mortal Kombat movie, and we're seeing it already now with the second one. So that's pretty interesting to think about. And he says it's very exciting because there's some really cool stuff that's being worked on. Just being involved in the scripts and which characters we're going to include in projects and all that stuff is very exciting for me. Before I was involved, but not in an official capacity. Now it's a little bit more official, and it's an exciting time. I can't wait to see people's reaction to some of the crazy stuff that's coming out. So here we're seeing that, firstly, he's a lot more involved. He's a lot more involved officially. And it's what I was saying about him making it sound like there's something that is coming out soon. Do you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's a great point. And that's interesting that he is more involved in this way because, there are complaints about the original staff not getting, or the staff from NetherRealm not getting involved in things like the movies in the past. And I'm not going to say specifically which movie, but it's something we've talked about quite a bit on this show. So, now that they're there, it gives me a lot of hope for the Todd Gardner's second movie because, we've seen what they've been doing with Legends. We see the kind of respect for the source material while kind of, being able to play with it a little bit. So if they're going to be doing that with the live action, then we might get a amazing Mortal Kombat movie again. What do you think?
Yeah, yeah, I think you're right. And I see everybody saying here, I hope they have future work for Mythologies 2 or Shaolin Monks 2 or brand new MKRPG. I'm so happy to see other people wanting an RPG style game. I think that was like an amazing direction for Mortal Kombat to take. Don't get me wrong, I love Mortal Kombat as a fighting game. It's always been one. But if you see how much love there is for Deception's Conquest mode, for Shaolin Monks, even for Armageddon's Conquest mode, although to a lesser degree than Deception's, I really think that Mortal Kombat could thrive in a different sort of storytelling capacity. I've always said that I feel like From Software games, for example, where you sort of pick up the lore as you go through this world, would fit Mortal Kombat so well. And that's kind of why I love From Software games and Mortal Kombat games, because that's how you piece together the story. With Mortal Kombat, you're looking through biographies, you're looking through endings, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
But one other thing, and I've been saying this a lot, which makes me wonder whether or not we have something on the way soon, is can you control F variations?
Yeah. Variations. This part.
Yes. So I'm wondering what lessons you think you and the team have learned from Mortal Kombat 11. What do you think were your biggest takeaways there? And Ed basically says that there's a bunch of micro decisions, moments in a fight, mechanics of wake up, breaking a combo. And we've seen this evolving throughout the games. If you look at the combo breakers moving throughout, let's just say between MK9 to MK11, if you're looking through the bar mechanics, how, for example, in MKX, you had the bar which was tied to the combo breakers, whereas in 9, it was just special moves into an X-ray. And then in 11, you have the defensive meter, which you can see technically this is a kind of callback to on the amazing theme that FANTiM has made for the Soul Stream. You have the defensive meter and you have the offensive meter, but then you have a separate gauge which hits at 30% for MK11's fatal blows. So here he says MKX had character variations, and then 11 had create your own character variations. But when we do another game, we probably won't have character variations. Even though it did well, it's time to move on to the next thing. So there's a bunch of little micro decisions that we make. Now, he's clearly here saying, it probably won't have character variations. This is still something being discussed, but they're discussing it. That means, next Mortal Kombat game is clearly happening. There's something there. But they must have some form of idea over what is the next thing. And that is one thing that, despite us all getting annoyed with NRS sometimes about, why did they change this? Why did they change this? They always evolve. They always evolve. And that's something we've seen from the beginning.
Just playing devil's advocate, though, he does say when we do another game. He doesn't say when we do another Mortal Kombat game. So, just saying there could be, just for argument's sake, Injustice 3 or whatever they're going to do next, and it won't have the variations. But if it's a Mortal Kombat game without variations, I'm actually super interested because I'm not a big variation fan. I just give those movesets to a different character and give me more characters. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, just touching on what you said about this might not be related to MK. I take it as MK because the beginning of the highlighted text that you have there is MKX, and then 11 had your own character variations. So this is clearly related to Mortal Kombat, in my opinion. Regarding the variations themselves, yes, I do see what you're saying. I would either prefer they took the MK9 approach with no variations or the MKX approach. The MK11 approach was very cool and had a lot of potential, but the whole slot system did not work. And it felt at times like they cheaped out on putting certain moves within a character's kit and putting it as a slot. It's like this character should already have that. I mean,
right, like Shang Tsung. I mean, you had to put in a slot to morph into different characters.
Exactly. Now, to be fair to them, they were looking at it from a competitive aspect, and competition-wise, that is something very hard to balance. If you have a character who can literally turn into the other character, then they have so many more options than the others. But at the same time, it's Mortal Kombat. You kind of expect that, right?
Mm-hmm.
So Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't mind a game without variations, and I'm very curious to see what the next thing, as he calls it, is.
So besides that, his AMA, he answered quite a few questions during these little 30-second time slots that he was open.
Funny part. Okay, so a little bit of backstory for people who don't know. On Twitter, Ed has been hosting Ask Me Anythings, okay? And that started, I think, on the 26th, 26th September. And he's done a few more since. Now, the first one went on for a little while. And by a little while, I mean more than a minute. Okay? I'm not sure how many more, but it went on for longer than a minute. Following that, FANTiM messages me, or I message FANTiM, and I'm like, he's hosting an AMA. Let's go, let's go, let's go. Right? And I mean, here, you can literally see it. This is 5:43 according to this screenshot. 31 seconds later, end. Like,
They were
this
all
was
like
30
this too.
long side. The other one was about 10 20 seconds or something, basically.
Yeah.
And
But he made a comment about that. So basically, there were so many comments coming in that he just kind of answered a few and then stopped because there was just too many. He had to figure out a way to filter out the amount of people answering the questions.
but
And
look at the numbers there. 7 retweets, 117 likes.
well, here are some of the questions he got. How are you today? How was your day? How was your day? How was your day going? So there was a lot of that.
I love how he says this answer above. So he answered somebody. And what was it? He actually had a pretty cool answer. I think I sent you that screenshot. Is that there?
This one?
Mocap. That's the part that gets me. Long, set up new laptop, mocap, Popeyes for lunch, lots of stuff outside of work. Mocap. This means mocap is confirmed. I'm joking. This means that they're doing mocap for the next game, right? So they
Yeah.
are working on something.
Yeah, and he's made it clear too. I mean, like we said earlier, multiple pots on the stove. So, yeah, it's interesting that he's getting involved in mocap right now. But I guess this goes back to that article that you just mentioned, where he says has a more hands-on approach to whatever they're working on.
Which I'm happy to see. I really am. I think that as, one of the co-creators, he clearly has an understanding of Mortal Kombat that other people may not have. I'm not saying all don't have. I mean, look at Jeremy. Jeremy didn't create it, but man, he knows his stuff and he really does his research on it too. But it's good to see that Ed is getting more involved in this. So that's pretty cool. I mean, we've had some questions we tried to get on the AMA. Mocap confirmed. Everybody, I need you on Twitter. Hashtag mocap confirmed. But we've had some questions, and one question that I really was hoping he would answer was, if we were to get a sort of compilation game, because we've had 3 games now, and it seems that the trend now, considering the 3D era into the MK9 reboot era, we've had 3 games, and then with the third game, at least for the 3D era, and then if you think about it, the third game with the original era, we had a compilation. So Trilogy and Armageddon. And I was very curious to ask Ed if they were to do a compilation game, a full-on roster with everybody from MK9 to 11 plus more, which sort of game would they take the combat engine from, or the combat playstyle, I suppose, from? Because a lot of people really missed MKX's style. A lot of people miss MK9 style, and a lot of people really enjoyed MK11 style. So I don't know. That to me seems like something that would be very interesting, and I'm very interested to hear what everybody thinks based on all of your experiences with MK9, X, and 11. Which of those games did you prefer the combat from the most? FANTiM, I think you were an X guy.
Yeah, I did. I liked X. I know a lot of people didn't, but I don't know. It felt like a progression of Mortal Kombat 9, where 11's its own thing, in my opinion.
Yeah, that's a fair point. I personally really liked 11's take. I enjoyed the slower approach, the more methodical approach, but the balance was a bit. The balance kind of ruined it, in my opinion, especially with crushing blows, etc. So I very much enjoyed X as well, although playing X, if you're going to be doing crazy combos like I was trying to do, like, man, I play Tanya. Tanya is ridiculous. And you're breaking your controller every time. You know what I mean? So we have some news on the movie, kind of.
Oh, what do you got? I don't know if I got that
Well,
one.
aside from Ed posting, tweets along with Todd, we had a Lewis Tan story with CC Stringer in it.
That's right. Let me pull that one up because I think you kind of shared this on the meme realm and on Realm Kast, and I mean, it kind of speaks for itself. Whoever Katana is, she
Clearly a sword.
yeah. Okay, so just kind of a background for those who aren't up to date on everything going on with the movie. See, the movie's in pre-production now, as far as we know. We don't know if they begun recording and stuff like that. But CC Stringer, who played Melina in the last movie, here in this photo, she's hanging out with Lewis Tan, and he's referring to her as Katana or Kitana. So
Giving him benefit of the doubt. I know everybody attacked him for the spelling, but man, if you type it down on your phone, it will auto cue as I call it, to Katana. It will. You know what I mean? Like, it does that. Come on. Like, I know everybody was up in arms. He can't even spell Katana. Give him the benefit of the doubt. He has, like, man, this guy was playing Smoke back in the day. I respect that. Okay? Mortal Kombat fan, at least to a degree. So
yeah.
I say that is, like, people are saying, I've seen some comments saying, but the director doesn't even know how to spell Katana. But Lewis Tan isn't the director. He's Cole. He's an actor. He's playing one of the characters. I don't know. My opinion is benefit of the doubt. That's autocorrect there for Katana, unless she really will end up being a sword rather than an actual character in the movie.
I think Eddie Herda in the chat says it the best. He says, "Oh Lord, they're gonna pronounce her name Katana." I have a feeling that if the fans if the fans don't like her, if the fans don't like the way that she's doing this, it's gonna be referred to as Katana everywhere now. um. So, what do you think? Is this? Do you think this is confirmation? I mean, do you really think so, or do you think he's just, sharing stuff like hanging out
I
with her?
100% believe that is going to be her playing Katana. This is confirmation. There is no way that he put this out without permission, in my opinion. And
see,
she played Melina. Melina's dead. Yes, we're going to the Nether Realm. She could play both, to be honest. But I see her returning because they're twins. We know this. She's going to be, in my opinion.
If anything, I think she might have a cameo. But like we talked about last month on the Soul Stream, she's working on Vampire Academy, or is that the name of it? The Vampire Diaries show.
But you can be on more than one at a time. Like they're just getting started with this, as far as we've seen in terms of updates, right?
Yeah, I guess the question is, are they recording in the same country, the show and the next movie? So,
do we have information on where it's going to shoot actually the next movie? Because the last one was in Australia.
Yeah, I haven't heard anything yet, and I don't know if anybody in our chat has, but it's all pre-production at this point.
So I know we're bouncing back and forth between topics, but it's just because there's so much to talk about, which we haven't really addressed for a while. And one thing that I found very funny, and to be honest, concerning, which is why I want to mention this, is the update to Mortal Kombat Mobile. Any Mortal Kombat Mobile players in the chat right now? Because we have a new combat pass, FANTiM.
Yeah, I don't play Mortal Kombat Mobile enough. Like, oh, okay, I say that, but I'll pick it up every once in a while and play it. But I'm not one of those guys that spends a lot of money updating it, and buying all the card packs and stuff like that, because I don't like what is it called, freemium games, where you gotta keep paying into it. But this is a kind of well, okay, the combat pack, is that what it's called?
Combat Pass. It's basically a passes, which all these live service games now are doing, which is really just a way of saying it's free, and then what we call whales in the community come in and just spend thousands upon thousands, and Yeah, that's how they make money, basically. Smoke plays mobile, by the way. Smoke 412. What do you think of this combat pass? Have you checked it out yet? Also, that is a interesting point, but sorry, it's related back to the movie. Is she playing Katana? I'm guessing Katana versus Melina match isn't going to happen. That's the one downside. Well, if you look back at Conquest, Jeff Meek played both Shao Kahn and Raiden at the same time and pulled off a pretty sick fight scene, in my opinion. So you never
I,
know.
yeah,
Could just try the face and get a stunt actress for the other character. You know.
and I doubt Melina's. I mean, okay, nobody's dead in Mortal Kombat, like we've talked about in the past. Like they can always bring people back, and they kind of set up that themselves in the last movie.
Yeah. Jeff Meek. Oh, man, I love Jeff Meek. He was so awesome to talk to. If you haven't
He
checked
was.
out our episode with Jeff Meek, that was a really cool one. And
Yeah, it was one of our first episodes too.
yeah, it's crazy looking back on that. Wow. Yeah, so the combat pass, earn rewards on epic quests. Let's hear
Okay.
more.
Now, the one cool thing they're doing with this new update, though, is they've included Mortal Kombat movie Raiden in it. So we're getting Christopher Lambert's Raiden in the mobile game. So if you're a mobile player, you got that to look forward to, and you got a combat pass. Is that what it was again? Combat pass.
Speaking of Raiden, did you hear about the battle cry?
Oh, I did just before the show. So do you know what they changed it to?
I've got it there. The link is there for you. Please open this up. I need everybody to hear this. It's
Oh, okay.
hilarious.
Let me find this. I don't know where you sent it.
I'm sending that to you. Hold up.
Okay.
You guys need to love this.
All right. So at this point, I have no idea how loud this is going to be when this plays, but let's hear the
Spreading
new
the-
voice of Raiden. Is this real, or are you just trolling me?
Apparently real. Confirmed by multiple people.
All right, hold on a second. Let me rewind this. No. Are you serious?
It's true.
That is horrible. Why? Hold on. I need to play that one more time. This is the new voice of Raiden.
That's so good. And, you say it's a new voice. No, that's not the new voice. That sounds like Richard Epcar. So he did this. I love it. I love it. It's hilarious in my opinion. But scroll down. You're asking me if this is real? Scroll down. Read the comments.
Oh, let's see.
Turning on the car. My God.
I have it too cringe. That's probably new voice lines. Yeah, this is. Oh, I mean, this Holden, the whole Strider. That's
the perfect.
Yeah. All right, so yeah, we have new movie Raiden with.
No, this seems like it's classic Raiden. The general Raiden's.
Oh yeah, you're right. He's wearing the original skin.
I'm assuming the movie Raiden will have Lambert's voice as it does in MK11.
Maybe.
Have we had
I don't know.
confirmation on that?
I don't know if he came back in for recording on that or not. So it might just, we might be stuck with this.
Oh my God, it's so good. It's so good. I love it. There we go. Smoke has a contender for how to say it.
All right, what else do we got, Yanni?
No, I think that's the best place to end this. To be honest, that is perfect. Actually, we're at what, 2 hours right now? Wow.
Yeah, we are. Yeah. So sorry, buddy. We we try to keep these under an hour, but we got a lot of questions. We got a lot of news this week. For the lack of news, we got a lot of news.
I mean, we also just expected Jeremy to join for about half an hour, and he was a trooper. He stayed on for much longer. So, Jeremy, if you check this part of the video out, thank you very much for staying extra with us. We kind of planned out the episode expecting a certain amount of time, and he was very kind to stay with us and answer everybody's questions to a greater degree. So that was awesome.
Oh, you know what? I forgot to mention our featured artist this week.
Go for it.
All right. So every week we like to feature a artist that has sent in their work. You can submit your work to mortalkombatonline.com if you want to be featured also. But this one is one of that most everybody knows. Esau, he goes by Esau 13. Does stunning work all the time. He's actually been designing some of our announcement cards recently. So we just like to give a quick shout out to him for everything he does because, yeah, and thank you. Because his work is amazing. I'm just going to show a few pictures here that he's done and sent in to us.
I don't think you can scroll down.
No, that's it. That's the edge. So yeah, everything he does is brilliant. And recently, if you're not following him on Twitter, please check it out because him and who was it, Flavio?
Flavio,
yeah, they did a compilation, or is it compilation was where they worked together? Collaboration, thank you. And they created this amazing Mortal Kombat 30th anniversary artwork, which you'll have to go to his Twitter to see it because it is beautiful. And Ed himself even retweeted it because that's how good it was.
I'm gonna just give it to you right now so everybody can see it.
Oh, am I allowed to share that? He didn't send me that one.
I mean, it's literally on Twitter, isn't it?
Yeah.
That's my logic. If it's on Twitter, it's already public.
So I'll pull that one up in just a second. I'm going to go through a couple more. This one right here is going to get us demonetized.
I gotta say, like, I've been following Esau and Flavio's work for many years actually, and just the fact that now I get to sort of work with him or have him send in art and stuff with us and talk to him is seriously awesome to me. It's kind of crazy looking back on how the Mortal Kombat community has grown with me, or I've grown with it at the point where I'm now literally getting art from somebody that I used to follow on DeviantArt.
We've even pushed out to the two of them several times and asked them to collaborate because we know how amazing both of them are. So I like to think that I made this piece of art. No, so yeah, definitely check out his stuff. Make sure you're following him at Esau13, and of course you can check out Flavius also, which I'm not going to try to pronounce that, but it's
at Flavio Lucisano or Lucisano, one of the two. But we'll have them both in the description of this video at the end for sure. They are both some amazing artists, and I love seeing more art from them every other, like whenever they put out something new, I'm just like, yes, something awesome is here. Something like Mortal Kombat in their style. It's just crazy seeing how they've evolved over the years. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, definitely. And like Flavio or Esau's even posted some of his really old artwork, and kind of seeing how it's like you said, evolved. Like it's cool. It's really cool looking. So, a couple final things before we let everybody go. Don't forget, we have the shirt store now, which you can go and have a look at Realm Kast merchandise. We have apparel, we have cups, accessories, everything's on there. And
got one there. You want to show them, right? Right.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, let me switch my camera back over. But this is one of our cups, which I bought myself because I will definitely use it. So this is called our beggar cup. It is just a common street beggar, and it is cool designs, Realm Kast logo. Check it out at our t-shirt store. And then also don't forget about G Fuel giveaway. Yes, G Fuel was nice enough to send us this, and we want to give to you guys. So make sure you share a video, your favorite Realm Kast episode. Just make sure you tag us at Realm Kast or Mortal Kombat Meme Realm, wherever you're sharing it, so that we can track it and enter you into the contest.
All right.
Anything else?
I think that's everything. That's one of my. Thank you all for joining. I seriously hope you enjoyed it. It was really cool with all the engagement that we had. Especially with Jeremy on and everything. It was like, again, to Jeremy, even if he doesn't see this, thank you, Jeremy, for joining us. And thank you all as well. As we said, we have our next episode airing on 27th October. That's with Alec Gillis, as we said. Just in case anybody's jumped in last second and has missed the earlier announcement, this is like the first time announcement to all of you, by the way. We'll announce this later on the other platforms, but well, with an actual announcement post. But yeah, Alec Gillis, him and his team were behind Goro from Mortal Kombat 1995. And for all those of you who know and those of you who don't know, that was a huge breakthrough in the industry regarding animatronics, and it just like it looked awesome in general. You know, even for people who have no idea, Goro looked crazy cool, and we all have those memories of Goro, at least as far as I've experienced with everybody. But he's behind Goro, him and his team, as well as Aliens, as well as Predator, Prey, being the most recent movie. If you haven't checked that out, that is a sick movie. It's really, really cool. That's coming up next 2 weeks from now. FANTiM?
Yeah. So yeah, let us know what you thought. You know, and thanks again to Jeremy Adams for joining us. Make sure you're following him at Space Kicker, or better yet, just buy the movies, because whether it's streaming, Steelbox, whatever you need, get a hold of it. I got my collection behind me, and it's definitely on there. I don't think I've got my Steelbook in yet though, but yeah, support the movies, show them how much you want more of this.
This is one of those moments where you always say vote with your wallet, and I know like the whole video game industry is like, don't pre-order, don't do this, don't do that, and like I agree to a huge extent, but this is really something that's so important in my opinion, because we're finally getting some kind of content that, you know, as Mortal Kombat fans we've kind of always craved, you know, and you have the opportunity to get more of it. So this is not a push saying buy WB stuff, you know, like nothing like that.
It's more so saying buy Jeremy's stuff. Yeah.
Exactly. Support something that, you know, you can tell that they're passionate about it, that they show that they know what they're doing, that we want more of it, basically. Yeah. That's my logic.
And don't forget Mortal Kombat Online's other programs, such as Fan Fight Fridays, 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern Time, and Survival Saturdays, which is 9 to 11 p.m. Eastern Time. You can find all that on mortalkombatonline.com.
And if you haven't, just while we're on this topic of all past episodes, we've also recently released an episode with voice actor Jameson Price, who we discussed his roles in Mortal Kombat, and that includes, in case you're not aware, the Mortal Kombat announcer voice, and he did a pretty cool announcement voice for us for the Realm Kast. That was pretty awesome to have. And in case
I might stick around.
Sorry?
I might keep that intro from now on out.
Oh yeah, definitely. But just in case you don't listen to the outros, I know that, you know, like, oh, it's the end of the episode, time to hop off. FANTiM always leaves in a little kind of teaser outro. It's really fun. There's a little something in every single Realm Kast episode we've ever done, and the end of Jameson Price's episode was pretty cool. He did that one for us, and bear in mind, he's not just the announcer; he's also Noob Saibot from MK9. That was, you know, fear me. You know, that was a proper, awesome, deep voice. Not just that though. We also had Ermac in MKX, so he's done some awesome work, and he's a very, very accomplished and talented voice actor. So if you haven't checked that out, pretty awesome video to check out.
Yes. So again, thank you everybody for joining us today. You can find Yani and myself, FANTiM, on the Mortal Kombat group on Facebook, as well as Yani on the Mortal Kombat meme realm, which is also on Instagram.
And don't forget also, we have an official Discord channel hosted on Mortal Kombat Online server, and that'll be in the link in the description. And that's where we can, you know, just hang around and chat, discuss MK with all of you, basically.
Yeah, and you can find out about all of our upcoming episodes and stuff like that. We post everything there, as well as, you know, Twitter, Facebook, all that stuff. So make sure you're following us, and check out past episodes of the Realm Kast on realmkast.com. Thank you, everybody.
All right. Thank you, everyone. See ya. Is this where we have